She was the only wolf who couldn't shift until the Alpha King marked her, and the impossible happened. The Hale family was known across Silver Ridge for power, strength, and bloodline. Every child born to them carried the royal wolf spirit, every child except one. Luna Hale, the firstborn, the quiet one, the one who never changed. Her two younger sisters, Mira and Hazel, could transform before their 18th birthdays. Their wolves were strong, silver, and fast. But Luna, she remained human, even at 21. She still remembered the night her father's eyes lost all warmth. He had gathered the whole family under the full moon, waiting for her first shift. The pack howled. The air shimmered with energy. Luna tried to feel the call, but nothing happened. She screamed, pushed herself until she fell to her knees, but her body refused to change. When the light faded, silence filled the air. Her father turned away. "Enough," he said coldly. That single word cut deeper than claws. From that night, Luna became a shadow in her own home. Her mother, Elena, tried to protect her. "She's special," she would whisper, holding Luna close. "The moon has her own time for you." Luna always smiled sadly. "Mom, stop saying that. I'm not special. I'm just broken," but her mother never gave up. Every full moon, she left food by Luna's door, hoping one day her daughter would feel the call. Luna would sit by her window, staring at the glowing moon, whispering softly, "If there's a reason I'm like this, please let me know." Word spread quickly across every pack in the land. The Alpha King, ruler of all werewolves, was returning from London. His father had died, and he was coming home to take his place and to find a mate. The name alone made even the strongest alphas bow, Alexander Black. The king no one had seen for years, the wolf with the rarest blood. At the Hale estate, excitement filled the air. Mira and Hazel couldn't stop talking. "Imagine being chosen by the Alpha King," Hazel said, spinning in front of the mirror. "He's rich, powerful, and every woman dreams of him," Mira added. But Luna sat by the window, a book on her lap, pretending to read. She wasn't interested. How could she be? She couldn't even transform. She wasn't a wolf. Not really. Her father didn't even hide his annoyance. "You don't need to go to the mating event," he said flatly. "You'll only embarrass yourself." Her chest tightened, but she stayed silent. Her mother, however, wouldn't accept it. "Marcus, stop. She's still our daughter. She has every right to go." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Fine. But when no one looks at her, don't comfort her." That night, Elena went to Luna's room, helping her pick a dress. It was simple, white, soft, and pure. "Go," Elena said, her eyes filled with quiet strength. "Not to be chosen, but to be seen. Sometimes life surprises us when we least expect it." Luna smiled faintly. "You always believe in miracles, Mom." Elena touched her cheek. "Because I gave birth to one." The palace glowed like silver fire that night. Hundreds of guests filled the halls, alphas, betas, and their daughters, all wearing glittering gowns. Luna walked behind her sisters, feeling invisible. Her sisters sparkled under the lights, greeting everyone. Luna stayed quiet, trying not to trip in her heels. When she couldn't take the noise anymore, she slipped outside through the garden doors. Cool air brushed against her skin. The night smelled of roses and moonlight. She sighed and sat by the fountain. For once, she could breathe. "Escaping already?" a deep voice said behind her. Luna turned. A man stood there, tall and confident, dressed in a dark suit. His hair was messy, his eyes sharp but kind, a shade between gold and gray. He didn't look like a royal. He looked simple. "Yeah," she said softly. Too much noise inside. He smiled faintly. "I thought I was the only one hiding." She gave a small laugh. "You too?" He sat across from her, the moonlight catching the edge of his jaw. "So why does a beautiful woman hide from a party made for her kind?" Luna looked down. "Because I don't belong here. My mom forced me to come." "Why?" he asked gently. "Because she thinks something will change. But I can't shift. I've never been able to." Her laugh was soft, but heavy. "Maybe I'm just a human mistake." He studied her quietly, eyes tracing her face. "Maybe the moon's waiting for the right time," he said. "That's what my mom says." "Then maybe she's right." Luna met his gaze. For a second, something strange pulsed between them. Warm, familiar, magnetic. But she quickly looked away. "You sound too calm for someone here to impress the king." He chuckled. "Maybe I'm not here to impress anyone." He stood, buttoning his jacket. "I'm glad you came, Luna." Her brows furrowed. "How do you—" But he was already walking away, disappearing into the shadows. When Luna returned to the hall, the crowd had gathered again. Trumpets echoed, the air grew still, then she saw him, walking through the massive doors, the man from the garden. Her breath caught. Her heart almost stopped. "The Alpha King, Alexander Black!" the announcer shouted. Mira gasped. "He's even more handsome in person." But Luna's world spun. That man, that simple, calm stranger, was the Alpha King. He moved through the line of women, eyes searching. Every girl stood taller, trying to catch his gaze, but his eyes kept moving, scanning, hunting for something. Then he turned away from the line. And there she was, Luna, standing alone at the far end, her hands trembling. He walked toward her, each step echoing like thunder. The crowd fell silent. He stopped in front of her, their eyes meeting again. "You," he said softly. "You're the one." Mira gasped. Her father's face went pale. The room filled with whispers. "She's human. She can't even shift. The king can't choose her." Alexander ignored them. "Luna Hale," he said, his voice deep and calm. "Will you allow me to mark you as my mate?" Luna froze. I can't." Her eyes darted toward her mother. Elena stood at the edge of the crowd, tears shining, nodding with pride. Luna's voice trembled. "Yes." He leaned close, his breath warm against her skin. When his teeth grazed her neck, the world exploded in light. Gasps filled the hall as Luna's body lifted from the floor. Silver and gold light poured from her skin, swirling like a storm. The chandeliers shattered. Wolves dropped to their knees, covering their eyes. Her mark, where he had bitten her, glowed fiercely, changing shape. Half black, half gold. Alexander stared in awe. "It's impossible." The royal seer stumbled forward, eyes wide. "The celestial wolf," she whispered. "The one born once in 1,000 years. The moon's chosen." Luna's body trembled, her eyes opening, glowing bright gold. A roar filled the room, not human, not wolf, divine. Wings of light spread behind her wolf form, shimmering with silver fire. Her howl shook the palace. When the light faded, Luna stood barefoot in her white dress, her mark shining like a crown. Alexander walked to her, his gaze soft but full of awe. "You are not a mistake, Luna," he whispered. "You are the miracle your mother saw." Tears ran down her cheeks. The crowd bowed, even her father. That night, as the moon rose high, Luna stood beside her mate, no longer the girl who couldn't shift, but the queen fate had hidden until her time had come. The palace slept in silence, but Luna couldn't. She sat on the edge of the royal balcony, moonlight washing her skin, fingers tracing the glowing mark on her neck. Every breath she took hummed with power, soft golden light rippling beneath her veins. Behind her, footsteps approached. Alexander leaned against the doorway, his shirt half-buttoned, eyes tired but warm. "You haven't rested since the ceremony," he said quietly. "I can't," Luna whispered. "Everything feels louder now. I hear the trees breathing, the rivers talking. I even hear hearts beating inside the walls." He came closer, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You're learning to live with power most wolves can't imagine," he said. "Give yourself time." Luna glanced up at him. "Do you regret choosing me?" He smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I regret nothing that leads to you." Their eyes met, the silence between them heavy, magnetic. She looked away first, her cheeks warm. "You talk like you've practiced that line." He chuckled softly. "Maybe I have. For you." For the first time in her life, Luna laughed without hiding it. In the days that followed, Luna and Alexander grew inseparable. He showed her the royal archives, the training grounds, even the old throne carved from moonstone. The people whispered, some in awe, some in doubt. "She's the celestial wolf," one said. "Or the curse that destroyed kings," another muttered. Luna ignored them, though their words stung. What mattered were the moments between her and Alexander. Quiet breakfasts on the terrace, late-night walks through the gardens, the way his eyes softened whenever she smiled. Sometimes he trained with her. She learned to shift at will now, her wolf form radiant and wild. He'd circle her in the field, teasing. "You move like fire, but your stance is better than yours," she'd finish, lunging playfully. Their laughter echoed across the grounds, turning every sparring session into something intimate. Yet, as the bond between them deepened, shadows began to follow. Mirrors cracked when Luna lost focus. The mark on her neck sometimes pulsed black instead of gold. One night, as Alexander kissed the spot above her mark, she gasped. A sharp pain like lightning shot through her chest. He pulled back instantly. "Luna, what's wrong?" She clutched his shirt. Something inside me is fighting back." He held her tightly until the pain eased. But in his eyes, she saw fear. Not of her, but for her. The palace seer, an ancient woman with moon-white eyes, came to see her. She traced symbols across Luna's wrist and frowned. "The curse stirs," she murmured. Luna's heart sank. "Curse?" The seer nodded slowly. "The celestial wolf is not only light. She is balance. Where there is divine, there must be shadow. And within you lies both." Alexander's jaw tightened. "Tell me how to break it." The seer looked between them. "The prophecy says, only true love's sacrifice can calm the darkness. But love itself is what the curse feeds on." Luna's breath trembled. "So either way, love will cost us?" The seer bowed her head. "Yes, my queen." That night, Luna lay awake beside Alexander, tracing the lines of his hand. "I wish I were normal," she whispered. He turned to her, eyes soft. "Normal wouldn't suit you." "You don't understand," she said, voice breaking. "If this curse hurts you—" He silenced her with a gentle kiss. "Then I'll fight it beside you. Always." The moonlight wrapped around them as if blessing the vow. The following weeks were restless. Strange attacks began near the borders. Wolves turning wild, eyes glowing red, claiming to hear the Dark Queen's call. Council members began to question Luna's power. One evening, an elder stood in the throne room and bowed low. "My king, the people fear the celestial queen. They say her curse brings madness." Alexander's voice thundered. "Watch your words. She saved this kingdom." The elder hesitated. "And yet, since her awakening, the borders burn." Luna stepped forward. "Then let me fix it." "Let me go with the royal guard." The council gasped. Alexander's eyes narrowed. "You're not leaving the palace." She met his gaze. "If I cause this, I must face it." That night, she left anyway. Under the red-tinted moon, she ran through the forest in her wolf form, silver fur streaked with black. She reached the borderlands and froze. Dozens of feral wolves stood before her, eyes glowing crimson. When they saw her, they bowed. "Queen," they hissed. "Free us." Then pain pierced her mind, the dark voice returning. "You can save them, if you let me out." Her claws sank into the earth as she fought it back. But the darkness laughed. "You can't hide from what you are." Alexander found her hours later, collapsed beside the border stones. He carried her back, shouting for the healers. When she woke, he was sitting beside her, his eyes tired and red. "Why did you go?" he asked softly. "I had to see," she whispered. "They called me their queen, Alex." The cursed ones. They said I could free them. He took her hand. They're trying to turn you. Don't listen. Tears filled her eyes. What if they're right? What if I'm not your salvation but their weapon? He gripped her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. I know who you are, Luna. I see you, the woman who laughs under the moon, who fights beside me, who made this cold palace feel alive again. His words broke through her fear. She leaned forward, their foreheads touching, breath mingling. Then stay with me, she whispered. Always, he promised. Their kiss this time was slower, deeper, not rushed, but full of everything they couldn't say. The room felt smaller, the world quieter, and somewhere in that closeness, the curse stirred again, jealous of the light between them. Days later, the seer returned with an ancient scroll, its words glowing faintly. Alexander read aloud, "When moon and shadow share one heart, the balance of worlds shall tremble. One love must burn so the other may rise." Luna frowned. Burn? What does that mean? The seer bowed. The curse feeds on your bond. To destroy it, one must give up what they love most. Alexander's hand tightened around the scroll. No. Luna looked at him. If it's me, you'll let me do it. He shook his head. If it's anyone, it'll be me. But neither of them knew that the curse was listening. That night, while they slept, the black veins on Luna's mark began to spread again. The kingdom trembled under crimson light. The moon turned red once more, and darkness seeped into every shadow. Luna woke to screams outside. Wolves were turning feral again. She ran into the courtyard in her nightdress, eyes glowing gold. Alexander was already there, sword in hand, fighting back the possessed wolves. "Stay back," he shouted, but Luna stepped forward, her power flaring. She raised her hands, light and shadow bursting from her palms, pushing the wolves away. They fell unconscious, but the darkness didn't leave. Instead, it flooded into her. She gasped, dropping to her knees. "Luna!" Alexander ran to her, holding her shaking body. Her eyes flickered between gold and black. "I can't stop it. Alex, it's inside me." The voice inside her laughed. "Your king's heart will free me." Alexander held her face. "Look at me. Listen to my voice." She trembled. "If I hurt you, you won't," he said, pulling her close. "Because I love you too much to let you fall." Then he kissed her, desperate, raw, pure. The world around them exploded with light and wind. But the curse fought back, screaming through her veins. To save her, Alexander pressed his mark against hers, merging their souls. Pain tore through both of them, light spilling from their bodies. Then everything went silent. When Luna opened her eyes, dawn had come. The courtyard was quiet. Alexander lay beside her, motionless. She crawled to him, shaking. "No, no, no." The seer's voice trembled. He gave his life to balance the light. His soul sealed the curse. Luna's tears fell onto his chest. "Please, not him. Take me instead." But her mark glowed again, responding to her pain. The light spread from her tears into him, gentle, golden, like morning sunlight. His fingers twitched, then his chest rose with a deep breath. He opened his eyes slowly. "Luna," she sobbed, hugging him. "Don't ever do that again." He smiled weakly. "You'd never let me rest anyway." They laughed through tears as the first white moon of peace rose above them. Weeks later, the kingdom healed. Luna ruled beside Alexander, strong, wise, radiant. Her mark no longer flickered. It shone steadily, gold-threaded with soft silver. The cursed wolves were freed, their minds clear again. The people knelt whenever she passed, not out of fear, but respect. Even her father bowed low. "I was blind," he said softly. "Forgive me, Luna." She smiled gently. "You don't need forgiveness, Father. You just needed time." At night, she and Alexander often walked the gardens hand in hand. The stars above them glittered like silent witnesses. "Do you think the moon goddess watches us?" she asked. He smiled. "If she does, she's jealous." She laughed quietly, resting her head against his chest. There, surrounded by light and shadow, their hearts beat in perfect rhythm, proof that love, even cursed, could heal worlds. The night of the eclipse was supposed to be peaceful, but the sky above the royal palace burned with two lights, one silver, one black, twisting together like living fire. Luna lay in the royal chamber, sweat glistening on her skin, her fingers gripping the sheets. Pain rippled through her, sharper than claws. Alexander knelt beside her, holding her hand. "Breathe, my love. I'm right here." Her eyes, glowing faintly gold, met his. It's not a normal birth, Alex. I can feel it, the power. It's tearing through me. The seer stood nearby, whispering ancient words under her breath. The prophecy unfolds. Light and shadow are reborn. Outside, the wolves of every pack howled as the moon disappeared behind the sun, a full eclipse. Then silence. A baby's cry pierced the air. But it wasn't just a cry, it echoed like a melody, pure and haunting. The child was beautiful. His hair shimmered with gold, but his eyes, one silver, one black. Luna's breath caught. His eyes. The seer bowed her head. The air of balance. Born under the eclipse of souls. Alexander took the baby gently, pride and fear mixing in his gaze. "What should we name him?" Luna smiled weakly. "Elias. It means the light that never dies." The seer's voice trembled. "Then may the light never fade from his heart." But when Luna closed her eyes to rest, she saw a shadow curl from the corner of the room, whispering her son's name. Years passed. Elias grew quickly, curious, bright, but quiet. When other children howled at the moon, he listened. When they ran, he stood still, feeling the wind as if it spoke to him. Luna often found him sitting by the fountain, staring into the water. "What do you see?" she'd ask softly. He would smile faintly. "Someone calling me." "But it's not scary, Mom. It feels familiar." She'd hug him tightly. "If anyone calls you, promise me you'll come to me first." He'd nod, but she could feel the distance in his soul, a depth too heavy for a child. Alexander trained him early, not to fight, but to lead. He taught Elias the old codes of the alphas, honor, control, and heart. But sometimes, when anger flared in the boy's eyes, the air would darken around him. One evening, during sword practice, Elias swung too hard. The metal blade turned black mid-air and shattered into ash. Alexander froze. "That power, it's growing faster than expected." Luna watched from the balcony, fear blooming in her chest. Her son had inherited not just light, but the sleeping darkness she once held inside. The packs had grown restless again. Whispers spread. The Queen's curse lives in the boy. In the great hall, the council gathered, elders from every territory, all bowing stiffly before Luna and Alexander. An elder spoke first. "Your Majesty, the heir shows signs of shadow corruption. We demand the old rights. He must be tested." Alexander's tone was calm, but dangerous. "You will not lay a hand on my son." Another elder stepped forward. "Then you risk repeating the past. The curse will return." Luna rose slowly from her throne, her silver gown glowing in the torchlight. "The curse didn't destroy this kingdom," she said, voice steady. "It rebuilt it. If any of you doubt the moon's will, then doubt me as well." The hall fell silent. Even the guards lowered their eyes. When the meeting ended, Luna leaned against Alexander's arm, her strength fading. "They'll never see him for who he truly is," she whispered. He kissed her forehead. "Then we'll show them." But that night, in her dreams, Luna saw her son standing under a blood-red moon, smiling, with eyes full of darkness. Alexander ruled with wisdom, but the strain of power was showing. Endless treaties, border wars, and now the rising fear of his own council left him cold and quiet. Luna noticed the change. One evening, She found him alone in the war room, staring at the map. She slipped behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist. "You haven't eaten," she murmured. "I can't rest," he said. "If the prophecy is true, Elias might be the reason the packs fall." She turned him around, eyes fierce. "Don't say that. He's our son. The moon chose him, just like she chose us." His hand lifted to her cheek. "You always believe in the light. And you," she whispered, leaning closer, "are my anchor in the dark." Their lips met, slow, deep, unhurried. The room faded. For a moment, they were not king and queen, but just two souls who had survived everything together. When they pulled apart, his forehead rested against hers. "If this darkness comes for us again," he said softly, "I'll die before I let it touch you." She smiled sadly. "That's what I'm afraid of." On Elias's 13th birthday, the eclipse returned. The moon turned red, the wind howled, and strange lights flickered over the forest. Luna ran to his room but found it empty. Her heart raced. "Elias!" She followed the sound of chanting, faint, coming from the old temple beyond the gardens. When she reached it, the doors burst open. Elias stood in the center, eyes glowing silver and black. Dark mist coiled around him like a living serpent. "Mom," he whispered, voice layered with something else. "It's calling me again." Luna's breath caught. "Who?" "The shadow," he said. "It says I was never meant to be born." She stepped closer, reaching for him, but the mist flared, throwing her back. She landed hard, the air knocked from her lungs. Suddenly, Alexander appeared, his wolf aura blazing. He charged through the darkness, grabbing Elias, shaking him. "Fight it! You're my son, not its weapon!" Elias gasped, falling into his father's arms as the mist vanished. When it was over, Luna held them both, crying silently. But she knew this was only the beginning. The seer returned weeks later, older, weaker. She handed Luna a scroll sealed with golden wax. "It's time you knew the full prophecy," she said. Luna broke the seal. The words glowed faintly. "When light bears love with shadow, their union shall birth a power to end or save the world. The queen's heart will guide it, the king's soul will test it. If the child chooses light, peace shall reign. If shadow, the sun will never rise again." Luna's hands shook. "Does this mean he has to choose?" The seer nodded. Before his 21st year, or both worlds, wolf and human, will collapse into darkness. Alexander clenched his fists. "Then we'll prepare him. He'll never face it alone." But deep inside, Luna's heart ached, because she knew prophecy always demanded sacrifice. Months later, rebellion spread through the lower packs, wolves who believed Elias was a danger. They attacked the capital gates under the red moon. Alexander led the defense, his black wolf tearing through enemies like stormfire. Luna fought beside him, her silver aura protecting the wounded. When the battle ended, blood stained the marble floors. Elias stood at the edge of the field, staring at the chaos his birth had caused. He whispered to his parents, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't exist." Luna gripped his shoulders. "Never say that. You were born from love, not mistake." Alexander placed a hand on his son's head. "Your strength doesn't define you. Your heart does." That night, the family sat together under the moon, silent but together, the world outside still uncertain, but their bond unbroken. Years later, when Elias reached 16, Alexander called a council of the packs. Standing before them, he declared, "My son will not be your fear. He will be your future." Luna stood beside him, radiant in white and silver. Her eyes met her husband's, that quiet, endless connection still alive. After the meeting, they returned to the balcony, watching the kingdom below. Alexander took her hand. "Whatever happens, promise me one thing." "What? If the prophecy demands one of us, let it be me." Tears glistened in her eyes. "Don't say that." He smiled faintly. "You were my miracle, Luna. I'd give the world to protect what we built." She kissed him softly, the kind of kiss that held years of love, battles, and promises. The stars burned brighter that night, as if listening. Time passed. The kingdom healed slowly, though the prophecy's shadow still lingered. Luna and Alexander ruled wisely, raising their son to face whatever destiny awaited him. But more than kings or queens, they were a family that had survived curses, wars, and doubt. Every night, before sleeping, Luna would whisper to her husband, "Do you think love can really save the world?" And Alexander would smile against her hair. It already did. And that's how the Alpha King and his impossible mate became not just rulers, but legends, their love shaped